Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we're going to make a Tommy Richman style track. I saved about 3 of the songs that I didn't hear to my playlist. I think the album is really cool that they have their own sound. So we're going to get into the idea of like creating our own sound by embracing cultures and disco and funk and combining it into a hip hop type of vibe. So let's start with the drums and let's do kick, clap, kick, kick, clap. So we're doing 120 BPM, which is not a usual trap BPM. Even though we're using trap drums, these drums are from J Cactus's new The Sacred Trap Kit. Okay, so he has a snare I like in here called, where is it at here? Where'd I put it? Here it is. This is a very like disco type snare. So we're just gonna keep that basic drum beat, and then we're gonna use the hi-hats. Now the hi-hats are gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna just like that. So let's drag all these out, grab your graph editor, go to velocity, and we want to draw the velocity in. So it's like up, mid, down, mid, up, mid, down, mid. And that's going to create that like 70s groove. And then we can add an open hi-hat. I believe this one's called Flash, which reminds me of the Warriors, for those who remember that game. We're going to highlight all these sounds, hit Control L. Let's start sending stuff to the mixer. Let's go to a new pattern though and add that open hi-hat. Let's go to playlist. Okay, so I want that right at the end here. So right before that. So instead of having the hi-hat kind of like ring out, what we're gonna do is combine all these hi-hats. So let's hit Control G. On that last hit, we're just gonna right click to delete it. And what I need to do is have the same choke group from the hi-hat to the open hi-hat. So this is 3. We're gonna go to the wrench tool, right click, copy the value. Go to your open hi-hat, go to the wrench tool, and paste the same value so that when the other hi-hat comes in, it will turn off that hi-hat. That's how hi-hats work in real life. They like, one turns off, the other one plays. Like you have to hit a pedal for the open hi-hat to work. So it goes, and then it stops when the hi-hats come back in. Okay, so right now let's add a little groove. Right now it's just kind of doing its own thing. Let's go to the wrench tool, turn up time shift on the kick. Same with the hi-hat. Instantly makes it groovier. Let's go to that snare. Okay, so that human timing makes it feel more authentic, even though these are synthetic drums. Okay, so now I'm going to use my keyboard I'm using a chord Kronos here, and we're going to record some chords. So the scale, let's figure out what scale we're in before I start doing all this. So if you guys are doing MIDI, again, you got to pull out your MIDI controllers to really have this like fine-tuned detail. So the key is, it's all the black notes and then the white notes that wrap around the 3 set of black notes. So something like, hold on, I was just not doing it. Okay, so that's our key. E flat minor is the technical name for the key. G flat major. Okay, so the easier way, like if you're playing keyboard, is it's all the black notes, and then it's the white notes that wrap around the 3 black notes. So and then I'll add the bass line that goes like this. Okay, so I'm gonna probably do that in 2 takes or so. So let's add that rhythm to this track. I'm recording to a latency, so there will be like time offset by a little bit. So I'll try to play against it. So that's the pattern though. Dun, 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 dun. So to create chords, you skip every other note in this scale. Skip this note. It's called a triad. So here I'm going to record the other take because it's a little hard. You got to do it with my. Okay, so again, it's a little hard to play that fast. I think great musicians, what separates them is they could just play fast, like very fast scales, fast chords. They're very fast. we're going to loop that and kind of build around that to create variations. Right now, I'm just going to line up the audio. So I'm going for it now. Surprisingly, on that album, it's like a disco type of vibe. I was expecting like some the whole album, but it was not that. It's almost like Jameson, if you guys know Jameson, but like more less funk and more like disco. So I'm gonna record that little last little chord hint. So if you're on any other plugin, the key here is that we're playing rhythmically with the chords. Okay, and we're allowing for dynamic and velocity changes, so it's not just the same thing repeating over and over. Now, technically, their chords do change, but we don't have time to go into like mode modulation, modal interchange, and all that type of stuff. So I'm just doing it by ear quickly. So now I'm going to add this little stuff in there just to add little accents. Let's record this. Even though I played the wrong notes. That's what I meant to do. So I'm just repeating little patterns. It's more about the rhythm than the actual notes. So it's really hard to, timing is really important, and this is why a low latency system is super important. If you're recording to a latency, you're going to always be fighting this like invisible time element. And this is why Ableton is a little bit better than FL when it comes to recording instruments, because in Ableton you can move stuff around and keep the same vibe, but in FL it requires too much work. So that is clearly rushed, but when I push the sound back, it sounds almost like not fitting to the rhythm. So this is the conundrum we're facing here. It's like, do I want to sound rushed or delayed? Delayed sounds not in the vibe. I think it's only just the beginning part that's rushed. Yeah, so it's just that beginning portion. So what I'll do for the beginning is line this up and we'll keep the rest intact. That way we don't mess with the details. And it could be tightened up a little bit better, but we don't want to obsess. We could be here all day. Let's just copy this over. And again, you guys will get the project files for free if you go to busyworksbeats.com/FL Studio. So now we're working on the, I must have copied and pasted that incorrect. How did that happen? That was a mistake. Let's pull this over. So at this point we have the main groove. Now it's just about adding all the like stuff, the vocals, the instrumentation. So I'm just going to go through instruments, especially leads and synthetic sounds, to add that like funk vibe. And we need a bass too. that bass has to match the rhythm of the chords, or else it's going to be clashing. So it's a little swing to the music, don't like that. So playing that can be a little difficult. So let's record it. 1, 2, 3. See how y'all telling y'all glitches. Let me add a little audio delay so we're not glitching. This is really going to F up the recording though. Once you go past 200, it's really hard to be in time. Yeah, hearing that delay throws me off so much. But let's just cut it at the 8 bars. Let's shave off a little bit of the hi-hat. See if we can bring the buffer back down, hopefully so. I think that was just a glitch when my thing glitched. All right, but the bass. Let's record another octave. So, yeah. So that was a simple octave jump. Nothing wild. I might start separating sounds. We have a decent amount of sound. So now it's just like top line stuff. Guitar, leads, synths, funky sounding stuff. Wah effect type stuff. Filter movement. So again, at this point, it's just about getting that fine-tuned audio to sit right in the pocket. I already mentioned the delay, but you guys got to be cognizant of that because I know you guys watch tutorials all the time, but to record video requires a lot of audio buffer. And you guys got to just understand the difference of making a beat at 300 millisecond sample rate, or what is it called? 300 milliseconds buffer rate versus recording with 0 latency gives you a whole different type of beat. So when you guys have your system, really well crafted or whatever, where it's like 0 sample buffer, then you're in a great place to record. That's why a lot of people go with keyboards and stuff, because there's no latency when you play on the keyboard. When you go into a computer, there's all these wires, it starts to slow down. All right, let's add some top line. so I'm just add this little top line here. Du-du-du-du-du-du. So I'm just adding octaves and just little spicy notes just to keep it changing up over time. Now that note was that sour note. But we're gonna leave it in because a lot of the album is like embracing going out of key. Let's start separating these sounds here because everything's just going to the same channel. So notice we didn't add any effects yet, but that's because the sounds were already designed with effects on them. So when people say sound selection, you got to realize that somebody sound designed the sounds that you're picking. So if they didn't sound design them right, you still have to understand how to tweak them. So I know sound selection is a lot of the key, but if you're starting at a sound design level, you still got to know what makes the sound the sound. You can't just say sound selection as like a crutch for everything. So I'm just going to fix some of these timing issues. Again, we're not going to sit here for a decade to line up every little detail, but I could tell the bass in the first part is just a little rushed. So simply by changing up the bass gives the sections two different vibes. A lower octave is more chilled, the higher octave is more active. Let's create a section where it's just like chords. And let's keep the same elements, but just swap out the chords. So here, this might take some time because I didn't think about what chords I want or anything. We're just... Okay, so let me fix one more thing here. Seems like the first half of this is more rushed than the second half. Let's go over here. All right, now let's, on the second half, let's bring in some unique chords. Again, I don't have anything planned. I'm just going up and down the keys until something sounds good. There's no rhyme or reason. I'm sure we could break down the theory, but I'm not going in with theory on this one. So I got to find my keys. I forgot what preset I had. So again, we're just trying to see if any chords will stick here. right, so I'm playing these chords very softly. They're not like main stage chords. Again, I'm just kind of freestyling. Really is like 2 intervals. I'm just kind of jumping around randomly. All right, so really simple stuff, nothing wild there. Just a little more tamed and not the main, like the chords are more of the backseat here. Now for the second half, I think we should bring in the rhythm. So now I'm just looking for stuff to add on top.
Too much and I don't think enough, but I just keep it on.
I do have the thing about this Mac is I don't have auto-tune on here. I would give y'all some bars. I need to get auto-tune back on here. It's not working on this Mac. Let me see if I have waves tune. I need to be at least somewhat in key. There's a little latency though, but I might record without hearing myself. That might be, who knows, that might turn into a disaster. All right, will waves load? Let's see. Put your bets in by smashing the like button. Okay, it did load. All right, cool. Let's see. We're already kind of low latency.
Too much. Don't know what I'm thinking. Too much.
Let me think if I can come up with a melody. If not, I'm not gonna force it. Yeah, I'm not gonna force it. I'm getting stage fright. I'm getting stage fright, y'all. Y'all gotta get me back in the booth. Let's just let the beat ride. All right, so embrace going out of key, embrace like going on the black keys. Really embrace just like no structure theory outside of starting with the scale. Like going out of key on purpose and making it sound good. So if you guys want to learn more music theory, like the technicals, go to busyworksbeats.com/music theory essentials. I'll leave a link below so you guys can learn a lot more about the stuff I didn't really explain in this video. Subscribe if you're new. You get the project files for free, excluding J Cactus's drum kit. So what I'll do, J Cactus, is I'm going to compile all the drums, put them in the audio. I'm not going to give out his samples. Thank you guys for watching. It's Game from busyworksbeats.com. Peace.